Welcome to the Denver Sports Betting Show UFC edition, where the wins are big and now your savings can be too. Thanks to our official sponsor, Assured Roofing, you can score up to $2,000 off your next roof. Whether it's hail damage or just time for an upgrade, Assured Roofing has your back, just like we got yours when it comes to the bets. Quality work, local experts, and right now $2,000 off your next roofing project. So while you're out there betting smart, be sure to call Assured Roofing and save on your next project. Be sure to use promo code Denver Sports to save that money. Boys, we got UFC again. We are just spoiled this time of year. UFC Qatar, stacked card. That just shows you the UFC loves being in Qatar. I'm loving this card top to bottom. Why don't we just dive right in? How about we start with Arman Tsarukyan taking on Dan Hooker. Tsarukyan is a huge favorite right now, minus 550. Dan Hooker can be had at plus 400. Taylor, who you got on this one?
Yeah, these odds are crazy for this fight because it's a lot closer than people think, even though it's number one, I think, versus number 6. My pick on this is Arman, but there's no bet on the money line there.
Okay, yeah. You got to pick a method of victory to get some value out of this one. Agin, who you like?
Yeah, this is going to be a dangerous fight. It's going to be a war, but I got Arman.
Yeah, I agree. Everything you guys said, I second that. The line is way off, but Taylor, tell me how it happens and tell me why the line's way off.
Just because it's closer. Like, Dan Hooker is a great fighter, and Arman's probably going to do what Arman's very good at, and that's go out there and wrestle and control. And we just saw it last weekend, right? Like, you can win a fight that way. It might not be the most exciting, but I think that's what he goes out and does in this fight. So my bet is over 3.5. It's a plus 105, or Dan Hooker plus 13.5, playing those points, because I do think Dan Hooker wins 2 out of 3 of these rounds.
Wow, okay. So a little bit closer than everybody's saying. Agin, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think Arman's got to prove himself, you know. We see what happened with him last time. I don't know if he missed weight or if he was injured, whatever it was, you know. He pulled out of the fight at the last
title
minute.
fight.
Yeah, the title fight. So
I think the UFC is pretty pissed at him for that.
Well, the UFC hates him.
Yeah,
but the UFC does not like this guy at all.
But the UFC likes Dan Hooker probably a lot less for mouthing off about him. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
no,
but go ahead.
Good. But I think, so Arman's going to come out strong. You know, he's probably going to take it to the ground pretty quick.
But does he come out to try to prove a point and like strike with Dan and get clipped by Dan is my only concern, because I think you're right. He has to prove a point.
Yeah, Dan's a tough guy to stand up against.
Very tough. Dan Hooker also has a really good get-up game, so I don't think it's going to be like when Tsarukyan took on Oliveira, where, you know, Oliveira is just dangerous on the ground. Any position, top, bottom, doesn't matter. Dan Hooker is not in that category, but he is somebody that, I mean, he can grapple. He has a good stand-up game. How does Tsarukyan get past the first 3 rounds and into those championship rounds 4 and 5?
Well, yeah, Dan Hooker is 78% takedown defense, so he is good at that. But Arman just does what all these guys are doing in the UFC right now, that pressure wrestling coming from Russia and that mountain region out there. I think he went back. He was training before at the Jackson House in California. He went to do his fight camp in Russia. I think he gets it done, but it's going to be a close fight.
The only thing I question with Tsarukyan is his desire to fight. He's very well off. That doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. I've just seen some things in the past week or so where he really just kind of likes the clout of being a UFC fighter, and he's going to be going to war with Dan Hooker. I really don't trust Tsarukyan's gas tank too much. How does he get past that and onto a win, Agin?
Well, I think he's been having a lot different training camp, you know, since what worries me is him making weight, you know what I mean? Because you never know with that guy, you know, but his striking has improved a lot. I think we're going to see some of that this fight, and we'll see, man.
We will see, and it'll be settled Saturday night. But
Saturday morning, we got an early card.
Oh, yeah.
You are absolutely right, Taylor. Thank you for clarifying that. The fights will start at 8 a.m. with the main card starting at 10 a.m., so be sure you're tuned in early. But moving right along, we have Belal Muhammad taking on Ian Machado Garry. Belal Muhammad is a plus 225 underdog. Machado Garry is a minus 275 favorite. Taylor, tell me who wins.
This fight sucks, but my pick is Ian, whatever last name, Garry.
Yeah, my pick is Ian also.
Yeah, I'm going with Ian Garry also. don't trust Belal Muhammad to fight a smart game plan. He said again this week he's going to test out his hands. Belal has no hands. Guy can't squash a grape. But tell me why you're going with Machado Garry.
He said that though, because I literally have it in my notes. Like he, the only path to victory is if he drops this Canelo hands thing, and I was kind of hoping he would, especially after seeing the success of Islam, and he trained with Islam, so he should just go out and do that in this fight. But you're right, you cannot trust Muhammad at all in fighting and his IQ. But I think Ian just picks him apart. I don't think it's necessarily a great fight. He picks him apart, probably wins on the points and decisions, and pieces him up on the feet.
Yep. Agin, how does Ian Machado Garry get it done?
I think he's going to use a lot of kicks, you know, make Belal feel uncomfortable in there. But he just got to be careful with Belal taking him down. If he does, you know, if Belal fights his fight, his game plan, you know, Belal can win. But I think Ian, you know, he's got a lot of confidence. You know, he's only lost to Shafat, you know, and he destroyed Shafat's knees. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, a much bigger fighter too. You know, everyone hates Belal Muhammad. He's not a fan favorite. The only person that might be less of a fan favorite in the Middle East is someone who takes his wife's last name. I've heard they do some pretty mean things to guys like that over there. But nonetheless, getting back to the fight, if Belal fights his style, could he win? Yes. But like you said, his fight IQ is so low, and he's just stuck on this, you know, showing off his hands things. But even looking at last week's fights, Belal's wins look a lot less impressive. Sean Brady got knocked out by Belal. Like I said, Belal can't squash a grape. And we saw what Michael Morales did to Sean Brady. So even Belal's biggest win looks a lot less impressive. What is a path to victory for Belal Muhammad to get this done?
His the old school wrestling, right? Like he goes back to what he learned. Yeah, this is his only way, because I don't think he can stand a chance with a kickboxing match with Ian.
No, he really doesn't. And really just a size difference. Machado Garry is much bigger. And I think Ian's just going to defend it. I don't think this is really too close of a fight. Does Belal, a former champion, have a path? Absolutely. But he's just not going to take that path. But moving right along, we have Volkan Oezdemir taking on Alonzo Menifield. Oezdemir is a minus 225 favorite. Menifield is a plus 187 dog. Taylor, who wins?
So I think Alonzo has a better chance here to win. It's going to be a close fight, so I got an interesting bet on it, but I'll go with my pick for Alonzo.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, to Menifield, yeah. Wow. That's quite surprising. How can you go to Menifield?
So my bet is finish only money line by Alonzo, which is a plus 225, because that's the only way he's going to win this fight. And with the odds, I think it's playing good, and you get your money back if it goes to decision. And I think if this other guy wins, Volkan, I think it goes to decision as well. But Volkan's good, man. He just fought Olberg, who's probably going to fight for a title shot here sometime soon. But I think Alonzo has better power, and he's just going to go out there and swing. And I don't know, we'll give him a chance on that finish only.
Yeah, I actually love that path because, like you said, Menifield, he's so low volume. I don't really see him outpointing Oezdemir and winning by a decision. So if he wins, it's going to be by a knockout. It's going to be by a finish. And why not take the extra money? But Agin, how does Menifield get it done?
Yeah, I like the plus money. That's why I chose him. But Volkan, he's fought a lot of good fighters, you know. But I think Menifield, with that power, he's going to end up catching Volkan. So I think he'll knock him out probably within the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, and I'm going to go Oezdemir just for the simple fact that Menifield, he really doesn't look good against top-level fighters. He's kind of just a gatekeeper for these green entry-level fighters. Anytime that he's had to face anybody of skill, of any back class, he loses almost every single time. He does have an ability to take guys down. He just really hasn't chose to go that path. He has 1 takedown in the last 2 years. Somebody that low output, somebody with, quite frankly, no takedown game. How do you see him faring in the whole thing? Is it just hope and pray for a punch, knockout, or what are we going here?
Yeah, I think so. And Volkan's going to use his leg kicks too. So we might see Alonzo shoot, because I think he's going to get his legs tore up a little bit. So I think he might take it to the ground in this one.
Okay. Agin, when Menifield is taken into kind of a long, drawn out affair, he really doesn't have too much offense. What do you see Menifield being able to do in rounds 2 and rounds 3 when the fight goes a little bit longer?
That's going to be a big challenge for him, you know, because we've seen him a lot of times get tired, you know, get gassed out pretty early. So, but I think, you know, hopefully he's been having a different training camp, and he's just got to keep it close, you know, try to use that power, you know, just don't gas out too early. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's really his only path to victory. I'm still going Oezdemir, but before we get out of here, before we move on to the UFC news, we have the DSB parlay of the week. I'm going to try to get it right. Agin, correct me if I mess it up. We are going with Asu Amabayev, Beksat Alkaman, Tagir Ulanbekov, and Abdul Rahman Yakahayev by first round knockout. That is plus 754, and that will get you paid. Bet $10 on it. That'll get you paid $7, $75 or so, and that can help you go on to your next roof at Assured Roofing. Be sure to use Denver Sports for $2,000 off.